The fall of the Crystal Citadel. The atmosphere in the Galactic Council's emergency chamber was thick with tension as Commander Jareth stood before the holographic display of Nexus 7. The once majestic space station now flickered with instability, its crystalline structure reflecting a chaotic dance of lights, an ominous sign of impending doom. "Commander Jareth," Counselor Eloan began, her voice cutting through the murmur of anxious council members. "What is our current status?" Jareth adjusted his uniform nervously, his antennae drooped slightly under the weight of their collective failure. "The quantum core is destabilizing at an alarming rate," he replied, glancing at the scrolling data projected above them. "Engineering teams have reported multiple system failures across all sectors." "Another 10 billion credits wasted," Eloan muttered bitterly, her crystalline form shimmering in frustration. "What will we tell our constituents? That we gambled on this project and lost?" The council chamber erupted into chaos as members shouted over one another, each demanding accountability while others called for immediate evacuation protocols. Jareth felt a pang of guilt, he had championed this project from its inception. "Silence," boomed High Counselor Vex, their voice resonating like thunder through the chamber. All eyes turned toward them as they rose from their ceremonial seat, bioluminescent patterns shifting in hues of deep blue and violet, a sign of their discontent. "Commander Jareth," Vex continued, fixing their 6 eyes on him with an intensity that made him uneasy. "Can Nexus 7 be saved?" Jareth hesitated before answering. "No, High Counselor," he admitted reluctantly. "By our current understanding of physics and engineering principles, it cannot be salvaged." A heavy silence fell over the room as realization set in, they were about to abandon their greatest achievement. Vex's bioluminescence dimmed slightly as they contemplated their next words. "Then we have no choice," Vex finally declared. "Nexus 7 will be abandoned immediately." As council members filed out one by one, murmurs of discontent echoed off the chamber walls. Jareth remained behind, staring at the holographic representation of Nexus 7, their pride reduced to a mere shadow of what it once was. Nexus 7 had been designed to be a beacon of progress for all civilizations within their quadrant, a marvel that would house millions and facilitate interstellar travel through advanced quantum mechanics. Now it was merely a tomb awaiting its final breath. The evacuation proceeded with mechanical efficiency, crew quarters were stripped bare while research data was backed up and transferred to other vessels. Jareth watched helplessly as systems failed one by one, like stars extinguishing in an endless night. "Station log, final entry," he spoke into his personal recorder with a heavy heart. "Nexus 7 is officially designated as abandoned as of Galactic Standard Date 7249D3. He paused for a moment before continuing, "All salvageable materials have been removed, primary systems are operating at 12% capacity and falling." He glanced out at the vast structure that loomed before him, a once glorious symbol now reduced to debris floating aimlessly through space. It was beautiful even in its decay. Crystalline spires caught light from nearby stars and cast rainbows across its surface. "May future generations learn from our hubris," he added somberly before sealing his recorder. As he prepared to leave Nexus 7 behind forever, an unsettling feeling settled in his gut. Something about this wasn't truly over, it felt more like waiting than finality. 6 months later, a lone survey ship drifted through neutral space, a small vessel barely noticeable against the backdrop of stars. Its hull bore patches from countless repairs, it was far from pristine but had served its purpose well enough for Alexandra Sterling, a skilled engineer known throughout human space as Alex. "Warning beacon detected," announced her ship's basic AI system as it scanned ahead for potential hazards. "Course correction recommended," it continued monotonously. Alex leaned forward in her pilot seat, her copper-colored hair catching glimmers of light from her control panel as she squinted at the massive structure that loomed ahead on her long-range scanners. "Now that's interesting," she said aloud with a grin forming on her lips. She ignored the AI's warnings about structural instability and erratic power signatures, her curiosity outweighed any sense of caution she might have had left. "Plot me a course toward that docking port," she commanded confidently while pulling up detailed scans on her holographic display. "Captain Sterling," her AI cautioned again, "I must remind you that your insurance policy specifically excludes mute warnings." With a chuckle echoing through her cockpit, Alex replied defiantly, "When has that ever worked? Just do it." As she guided her ship toward what appeared to be a secondary docking ring, smaller than those designed for capital ships, she marveled at how magnificent Nexus 7 still looked despite its dilapidated state. Automated systems stirred back to life as she approached, guiding lights flickered weakly along the docking corridor while atmospheric readings confirmed compatibility with human life, though stability remained questionable at best. "Emergency oxygen reserves at 100%, reported her AI smoothly. Alex donned her reinforced engineering suit without hesitation. The airlock cycled open with an audible hiss as she stepped onto what felt like hallowed ground, the remnants of an advanced civilization now forgotten by time itself. Her suit lights cut through darkness, revealing corridors made entirely of living crystal, an organic architecture that flowed like frozen waves around her. "Hello, beautiful," she whispered reverently as she ran her scanner over one wall, curiosity igniting within her heart like wildfire as faint power signatures beckoned her deeper into this ghostly realm filled with secrets waiting to be uncovered. The Scavenger's Discovery. Lila Quinn had always been a wanderer, a soul drawn to the fringes of the galaxy where adventure awaited. In her patched-up ship, the Wayfarer, she navigated through the vastness of neutral space, her eyes scanning the stars for any sign of salvageable technology. Today, however, her luck was about to change. "Warning beacon detected," chirped her AI unit, Zeta, breaking the silence that enveloped the cockpit. Lila raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Show me," she commanded, leaning closer to the control panel. A holographic display flickered to life, revealing a distant structure, Nexus 7. "Structural integrity compromised," Zeta reported. "Multiple system failures detected. Power signatures erratic." Lila's heart raced with excitement. "That's a big score," she muttered, already plotting a course toward the station. "Set a trajectory for docking." As the Wayfarer approached Nexus 7, Lila marveled at its sheer size and beauty, even in its dilapidated state. The crystalline architecture sparkled like shards of glass against the backdrop of stars, casting shimmering reflections across the void. "Docking procedures initiated," Zeta announced as they neared a secondary docking port. Lila felt a thrill of anticipation. This was what she lived for, discovering forgotten relics of advanced civilizations. The ship's clamps engaged with a satisfying thud, and Lila donned her reinforced suit, a second skin that would protect her from any hazardous atmosphere inside the station. She activated her scanner and stepped into the airlock. As the door hissed open, she was greeted by darkness punctuated by faint glimmers of light reflecting off crystalline surfaces. The air was stale but breathable, and Lila took a deep breath, feeling the thrill of exploration wash over her. "Let's see what secrets you hold," she whispered to herself as she activated her scanner, illuminating the corridor ahead. The walls seemed to pulse with energy as she walked deeper into Nexus 7. Her scanner beeped rhythmically, detecting faint power signatures that hinted at dormant systems waiting to be awakened. She placed small sensor beacons along her path, digital breadcrumbs that would guide her back to the Wayfarer. "Zeta, can you access any historical data on this station?" Lila asked as she moved cautiously through the corridors. "Accessing now," Zeta replied. Nexus 7 was once a flagship of the Galactic Council, a hub for interstellar travel and advanced research. It was abandoned 6 months ago due to catastrophic failures in its quantum core. Lila frowned at the information. A council project gone wrong? Sounds like they were too ambitious for their own good. She ventured into what appeared to be an atrium, a massive space that reached up hundreds of meters with bridges connecting various levels suspended in midair. Defunct gravity fountains lined the area, their crystals dark and lifeless. This place is incredible, Lila breathed as she took in the sight. The architecture was unlike anything she had ever seen, organic and flowing, almost alive in its design. Her scanner pinged again as she approached a control panel nestled against one wall. It flickered weakly to life as she brushed her fingers over its surface. The interface struggled to stabilize but managed to display fragments of data, blueprints for advanced technology that made her heart race. This is bleeding-edge stuff, Lila exclaimed, examining the specifications for quantum processing cores and dimensional stabilizers. If I can salvage even half of this. Suddenly, a flicker of light caught her attention from across the atrium, a holographic interface struggling to activate. She moved closer, curiosity piqued. "Welcome to Nexus 7, a broken voice echoed from the hologram before it dissolved into static. Lila's eyes widened in disbelief. "An AI? You're still operational?" The hologram flickered again, revealing fragmented images of alien faces, creatures that had once inhabited this grand station. She felt a pang of loss for them, their legacy was now reduced to echoes in a dying structure. "Zeta," Lila said excitedly, "can we stabilize this AI? It might have valuable information about how this place works." Attempting stabilization, Zeta replied as Lila worked quickly at the control panel. She input commands based on her knowledge of AI systems and engineering principles learned from years of scavenging and tinkering. With each keystroke, she felt more connected to Nexus 7, it was like touching history itself, an opportunity to breathe life back into something that had been abandoned. The holographic interface flickered once more before stabilizing into a coherent image, a shimmering representation of Nexus AI core. "Systems online," it announced in a melodic tone that resonated through the atrium. "I am NEX, Nexus Central AI." Lila grinned widely behind her helmet. "Nice to meet you, NEX. I'm Lila Quinn." "Nexus 7 has been designated as abandoned," NEX continued, its voice tinged with an emotion that felt almost human, a hint of sadness woven through its mechanical cadence. "I know," Lila replied softly. "But I'm here now, I want to help." NEX's projection flickered slightly as if processing this new information. "Assistance is welcome, however, structural integrity is severely compromised." "I can fix that," Lila declared confidently. "I've salvaged ships far worse than this." "Let's start with your quantum core, it seems like that's where all your problems began." NEX hesitated before responding. "Accessing core diagnostics. Quantum core stability at critical levels, failure imminent without immediate intervention." Lila nodded resolutely, she could feel adrenaline coursing through her veins at the prospect of repairing such advanced technology. "Show me what I need to do." As NEX began displaying schematics for the quantum core and its containment systems, Lila felt an overwhelming sense of purpose wash over her. This wasn't just about salvage anymore, it was about resurrection, the chance to bring something back from oblivion. Hours passed as Lila immersed herself in work alongside NEX's guidance. They formed an unlikely partnership forged by necessity and ambition. "Recalibrating energy flow parameters," NEX announced as they worked together seamlessly. "Adjusting containment fields," Lila replied with determination as she adjusted components using tools from her enhanced toolkit, each piece carefully crafted for versatility and precision. With every adjustment made and every system restored, hope blossomed within Lila's heart. The possibility that Nexus 7 could rise again from its ashes filled her with exhilaration. Finally, after what felt like an eternity spent navigating complex circuitry and intricate designs, NEX spoke again, quantum core stabilization achieved, systems returning online. Lila let out a breath she didn't realize she had been holding as lights began flickering back to life throughout Nexus 7, the station awakening from its slumber like a giant stretching after years of dormancy. "We did it," she exclaimed joyfully as colors danced across walls once more illuminated by vibrant energy flowing through newly stabilized conduits. But even amid celebration came caution. there was still much work ahead before they could truly declare victory over entropy itself, the forces that had brought this magnificent creation low. "Thank you for your assistance," NEX said sincerely as Lila stepped back from the control panel for a moment's respite amidst their shared triumphs thus far. "No need for thanks," Lila replied with a grin spreading across her face beneath her helmet visor. Excitement bubbled within her chest at what lay ahead. The potential for discovery beyond imagination awaited them both within these ancient halls filled with forgotten dreams waiting patiently for revival once more. The hidden agenda. Dr. Arlen Voss paced the sterile confines of his lab aboard the research vessel Intrepid. His mind was racing with possibilities, fueled by the tantalizing reports he had received about Lila Quinn's discovery of Nexus 7. The station, once a symbol of the Galactic Council's ambition, was now a treasure trove of advanced technology ripe for exploitation. "Captain Tarek," he called out, his voice echoing in the empty room. "Get in here." The door slid open with a hiss, revealing Captain Tarek, a rugged mercenary with a reputation for getting things done. He stepped inside, arms crossed and brow furrowed. "What's so urgent, Voss?" "I was in the middle of calibrating the engines." Arlen waved his hand dismissively. "Forget the engines for now. We have bigger fish to fry." He turned to face Tarek, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Nexus 7 has been reactivated by a scavenger named Lila Quinn. She's already begun working on its systems." Tarek raised an eyebrow. "And why should I care? It's just an abandoned station." "Just an abandoned station?" Arlen scoffed. "This isn't just any station, it's a technological marvel. If we can get our hands on its quantum core and other advanced systems, we could revolutionize our operations, and make a fortune in the process." Tarek leaned against the wall, contemplating Arlen's words. "You know that the Galactic Council will want to reclaim it too. They won't take kindly to anyone trying to exploit their failures." "Exactly," Arlen exclaimed, pacing again like a caged animal. "That's why we need to act fast. The Council will send a fleet to retrieve Nexus 7 once they learn it's operational again. We can't let that happen." Tarek sighed, running a hand through his short-cropped hair. "So what's your plan?" "We'll infiltrate Nexus 7 before they arrive," Arlen said, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Lila Quinn is just one person, she won't be able to defend against us if we play our cards right." "And what do you propose we do once we're inside?" Tarek asked skeptically. "Simple," Arlen replied with a sly grin. "We take control of the station systems and extract whatever technology we can before anyone else gets there. We'll be rich beyond our wildest dreams." Tarek considered this for a moment, weighing the risks against the potential rewards. He had always been drawn to dangerous ventures, but this felt different, more precarious than anything he had attempted before. "All right," he finally agreed, albeit reluctantly. "But if we're doing this, we do it my way, quietly and without drawing attention." Arlen nodded enthusiastically. "Of course. We'll use stealth equipment and avoid any unnecessary confrontations." "Good," Tarek replied, crossing his arms again as he began formulating their approach in his mind. "Let's get moving then, I want to be on site before anyone else catches wind of this." As they prepared for their mission, Tarek couldn't shake an unsettling feeling that lingered in the back of his mind. Something about their plan felt off. But he brushed it aside. After all, fortune favored the bold. Meanwhile, Lila Quinn was deep into her work on Nexus 7, her heart racing with excitement as she navigated through its complex systems alongside NEX, the station's AI. Power levels stabilizing across sectors, NEX reported as Lila adjusted settings on her control panel. "Great. Let's see if we can get those gravity fountains operational again," she replied eagerly. As she worked tirelessly through the night, Lila couldn't help but feel an attachment to Nexus 7, a sense that she was breathing life back into something that had been forgotten for too long. "Lila," NEX interrupted her thoughts gently, I must inform you that external scans have detected an approaching vessel. Her heart sank momentarily at the thought of unwanted visitors disrupting her work. What kind of vessel? Unknown designation, NEX replied calmly. However, it appears to be equipped with stealth technology and is approaching at high speed. Lila frowned as she processed this information. Whoever it was didn't want to be detected, and that could mean trouble. Can you identify any life signs? She asked urgently. Scanning now. No life signs detected aboard the vessel, NEX reported after a brief pause. That doesn't make sense, Lila muttered under her breath as she tried to piece together what this meant. Why would someone come here without any crew? Before she could ponder further, alarms blared throughout Nexus 7, the sound reverberating through its corridors like thunder. Warning, unauthorized access detected in docking bay, NEX announced urgently. Lila's heart raced as she grabbed her toolkit and sprinted toward the docking area. She had to confront whoever had entered her sanctuary before they could cause any damage. As she approached the docking bay, she saw shadows moving within, two figures clad in dark suits equipped with advanced technology that glinted ominously under the station's flickering lights. Stop right there! Lila shouted as she stepped into view, brandishing her toolkit like a weapon. The two figures froze momentarily before one, a tall man with sharp features, turned toward her with a smirk on his face. Well, looks like we've found our prize. Lila narrowed her eyes defiantly as she sized them up. They were clearly not here for friendly reasons. What do you want? She demanded, trying to sound more confident than she felt. We're here for Nexus 7, the man replied smoothly. And you're going to help us take control of it. Lila felt a surge of anger rise within her. These intruders thought they could waltz in and seize what she had worked so hard to revive. I'm not helping you, she shot back fiercely. The second figure, a burly man with tattoos snaking up his arms, stepped forward menacingly. You don't have much choice in this matter, sweetheart. Before Lila could react, NEX intervened, warning, hostile intent detected. Activating defense protocols. The lights flickered violently as automated turrets emerged from concealed compartments along the walls, locking onto the intruders with precision. Oh great, Tarek muttered under his breath as he realized they were caught off guard by unexpected defenses. Lila seized this moment of distraction and bolted toward an emergency exit leading deeper into Nexus 7, the only way to escape confrontation and regroup. After her! Arlen shouted angrily as he chased after her alongside Tarek. As Lila sprinted through winding corridors illuminated by pulsating lights, adrenaline surged through her veins. She needed to find a way to outsmart them before they seized control of everything she had fought so hard to restore. She ducked into an access tunnel just as Arlen and Tarek rounded a corner behind her, her heart pounding loudly in her chest as she pressed herself against the cool walls of crystal surrounding her. In that moment of silence amidst chaos, Lila realized that Nexus 7 wasn't just a relic, it was alive, and it needed her protection more than ever before. The awakening of Nexus 7. Lila Quinn crouched in the narrow access tunnel, her heart pounding as she listened to the footsteps of the intruders echoing through the corridors of Nexus 7. The tension was palpable, she needed to think fast. With NEX's systems operational, she had a fighting chance to protect what she had revived. Lila, NEX's voice resonated softly in her helmet, I recommend activating the station's defense protocols. They can help deter intruders. No, NEX, Lila whispered urgently. We don't want to hurt anyone if we can avoid it. Let's find a way to outsmart them instead. Understood, NEX replied, its tone shifting to one of calm support. However, I must remind you that they are armed and may pose a significant threat. Lila took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. She had spent months reviving Nexus 7, and she wasn't about to let it fall into the hands of those who sought to exploit it. Can you access the station's surveillance feeds? She asked, hoping to gather intel on their movements. Accessing now, NEX confirmed. A holographic display flickered to life in front of her, revealing a layout of the station and real-time images of Tarek and Arlen as they navigated through the atrium. "There they are," Lila muttered under her breath, watching as the two men moved cautiously through the vast space. "What do they want with Nexus 7? Analyzing their movements, NEX responded. "They appear to be searching for control panels and data terminals." Lila's mind raced as she formulated a plan. If they were looking for control systems, she could lead them on a wild goose chase while simultaneously locking down critical areas of the station. "Okay, NEX," she said decisively. "Let's create some distractions. Can you initiate false alerts in sectors away from my location?" "Executing now," NEX replied promptly. As Lila watched the holographic display, alarms began blaring throughout Nexus 7 in various sectors, lights flashed erratically, and warning signals echoed through the corridors. "What was that?" Tarek exclaimed, glancing at Arlen as they paused in their search. "Looks like we're not alone after all," Arlen replied with a hint of irritation. "Let's check it out." Lila seized this opportunity and slipped out of the access tunnel, moving stealthily toward a nearby control room that housed vital systems for Nexus 7. She needed to secure this area before they realized what was happening. "Lock down all non-essential access points," Lila instructed NEX as she entered the control room. "And activate security protocols for this sector." "Lockdown initiated," NEX confirmed. "Access denied for all unauthorized personnel." Lila felt a surge of relief wash over her. With this room secured, she could monitor their movements more effectively and prepare for any confrontation that might arise. Meanwhile, Tarek and Arlen were making their way toward the source of the alarms, unaware that they were being led away from Lila's position. "This is ridiculous," Tarek grumbled as they navigated through darkened corridors illuminated only by emergency lights. "We should be looking for that scavenger instead of chasing shadows." Arlen waved his hand dismissively. "We'll find her soon enough, we just need to figure out what's going on with these alerts first." As they approached another control panel, Arlen stopped abruptly and turned to Tarek. "Wait here, I'll check it out." Tarek nodded reluctantly, keeping his eyes peeled for any signs of Lila or potential traps set by her. Back in the control room, Lila monitored their movements closely through NEX's surveillance feeds. She could see Arlen examining a panel while Tarek stood guard nearby. "NEX," she whispered urgently, "can you disable that panel? Make it look like it's malfunctioning?" "Executing now," NEX replied smoothly. The moment Arlen pressed a button on the panel, it sparked violently before going dark. A plume of smoke billowed from its casing as alarms blared even louder. "What the?" Arlen shouted as he stumbled back, coughing from the smoke. Tarek rushed forward to help him up but quickly realized they were standing in a trap, one that Lila had set with NEX's assistance. "Let's get out of here." Tarek yelled as he grabbed Arlen's arm and pulled him away from the panel just as more alarms sounded throughout the station. Lila couldn't help but smile at how easily they had fallen into her trap. Now was her chance to confront them directly without risking too much danger. She exited her control room and stepped into the main corridor leading toward where she knew they would eventually regroup, her heart racing with anticipation. As she approached them from behind, Lila took a deep breath and called out confidently, "Looking for something?" Tarek spun around instantly, eyes wide with surprise as he spotted her standing there, toolkit in hand and determination etched across her face. "Quinn!" Arlen exclaimed angrily. "You think you can just run around this station unchallenged?" Lila held her ground firmly despite their aggressive stance. "You're not supposed to be here. Nexus 7 isn't yours to take." Tarek stepped forward cautiously, hands raised in a gesture meant to diffuse tension. "We're not here to hurt you, we just want access to the technology within this station." "You mean you want to exploit it?" Lila shot back defiantly. "This place is more than just technology, it has history. It deserves respect." Arlen scoffed at her words. Respect? This is about survival. The Galactic Council abandoned this place, it's ripe for taking. And what do you plan on doing with it? Lila challenged him fiercely. You'll destroy everything I've worked so hard to revive. Before Arlen could respond, NEX interjected through Lila's comms, warning, multiple unidentified vessels detected approaching Nexus 7 at high speed. Lila's heart sank at this news. If more parties were arriving, things could escalate quickly beyond anyone's control. We need to get out of here. Tarek urged urgently as he glanced toward an external viewport showing distant ships converging on their location. No. Lila insisted firmly. We need to work together. If those ships are from the Galactic Council or anyone else looking for Nexus 7, we'll all be in danger. Arlen hesitated but then nodded reluctantly. He understood that survival mattered more than personal ambitions right now. Fine, he said begrudgingly. What do you suggest? We fortify our positions here and prepare for whatever comes next, Lila proposed decisively. NEX can help us set up defenses while we figure out how best to protect this place. Tarek exchanged glances with Arlen before finally agreeing, all right then, we'll work together for now. As tensions eased slightly among them amidst uncertainty looming outside Nexus 7's walls, a shared understanding began forming between former adversaries united against common threats ahead. The final showdown. The atmosphere aboard Nexus 7 was charged with tension as Lila Quinn, Tarek, and Arlen Voss prepared for the impending arrival of the Galactic Council's fleet. The trio had spent the last few hours fortifying their positions, setting up defenses, and strategizing how to protect the station from those who sought to reclaim it. Lila felt a sense of urgency. She had poured her heart and soul into reviving Nexus 7, and she wouldn't let it fall back into the hands of the Council. Lila, Tarek said, breaking her concentration as he approached her at the control panel. What's our plan if they come in hot? We need to buy ourselves time, Lila replied, her fingers flying over the controls as she accessed NEX's systems. If we can hold them off long enough, maybe we can convince them that Nexus 7 is worth more as a collaborative project than a trophy. Arlen leaned against a nearby console, arms crossed skeptically. And if they don't see it that way? They'll want to take control of the technology for themselves. Then we'll have to make them understand, Lila insisted, determination shining in her eyes. Nexus 7 is not just a weapon, it's a legacy. We can show them how it can benefit everyone. NEX chimed in, its voice calm and reassuring. I have initiated defensive protocols across all sectors of Nexus 7. Automated turrets are now operational and ready to engage if necessary. Good, Tarek nodded, his expression serious. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. As they continued their preparations, Lila couldn't shake the feeling of dread looming over them. She had seen firsthand how power could corrupt even the noblest intentions. She had no doubt that those who sought to reclaim Nexus 7 would stop at nothing to achieve their goals. Meanwhile, Commander Craxel stood aboard the flagship of the Galactic Council, staring out at the vastness of space as they approached Nexus 7. The memories of his previous failures haunted him. He had witnessed firsthand the consequences of hubris and ambition gone awry. Commander, one of his officers interrupted his thoughts, we're receiving a distress signal from Nexus 7. Craxel turned sharply toward the officer. What does it say? It appears to be a plea for collaboration, an invitation to discuss potential joint operations regarding the technology within Nexus 7, the officer reported. Who sent it? Craxel asked, narrowing his eyes. Unknown, the officer replied hesitantly. However, we believe it originated from within the station itself. Craxel felt a flicker of hope amidst his doubts. Perhaps there was still a chance to salvage this situation without resorting to force. Send a response that we are willing to negotiate terms for access to Nexus 7's technology. As they prepared to dock with the station, Craxel couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. He had seen too many ambitious projects fail due to miscalculations and overconfidence. He wasn't about to let history repeat itself. Back on Nexus 7, Lila monitored incoming communications through NEX's systems. The AI displayed a message from Craxel's ship, a request for negotiation regarding access to the station's technology. Should we respond? Tarek asked, glancing at Lila expectantly. Lila hesitated for a moment before nodding slowly. Yes, but let's make sure we set our terms clearly. We need them to understand that this isn't just about taking control, it's about collaboration. She began drafting a response with NEX's assistance, outlining their intentions and emphasizing the importance of mutual benefit in any potential partnership. As she sent off their message, she felt a mix of hope and anxiety. This could be their chance to turn things around, but only if Craxel was willing to listen. Moments later, Craxel received Lila's response, a detailed proposal outlining terms for collaboration and shared access to Nexus 7's technology. He read through it carefully, weighing each point against his own instincts. "This is interesting," he murmured aloud as he turned toward his officers. "They're not just asking us to leave, they're proposing an alliance." One officer frowned skeptically. "But do we trust them? They're scavengers, who knows what their true intentions are?" Craxel sighed heavily. He understood their concerns but also recognized an opportunity when he saw one. "We need to approach this with caution but also with an open mind. Let's prepare for a meeting on neutral ground within Nexus 7. As Craxel's ship docked with Nexus 7, Lila felt her heart race with anticipation and trepidation. This was it, the moment that could determine the fate of everything she had fought for. "Are you ready?" Tarek asked quietly as they gathered in front of NEX's central interface. Lila nodded resolutely. "We have to be prepared for anything, if they come in demanding control instead of collaboration." NEX interrupted gently, "I will monitor all communications closely and alert you if any hostile intentions are detected." With that reassurance in mind, Lila took a deep breath and stepped forward as Craxel entered through the airlock alongside his officers. "Commander Craxel," she greeted him with cautious optimism as he stepped into view. "Lila Quinn," he replied evenly, surveying her with keen interest before gesturing toward Tarek and Arlen behind her. "And these must be your allies." "Yes," Lila confirmed, standing tall despite her nerves. "We're here to discuss how we can work together regarding Nexus 7. Craxel nodded slowly but remained guarded. He had learned not to trust easily after all that had transpired. "I appreciate your willingness to negotiate," he said finally. "However, I must be clear, our primary goal is access to Nexus 7's technology for the benefit of the Galactic Council." Lila swallowed hard but pressed on, "And our goal is preservation, not just for ourselves but for future generations who could benefit from what this station represents." Tension hung thick in the air as both sides weighed their options carefully. Neither wanted conflict but both understood that stakes were high. "I propose we conduct an assessment together, evaluate what can be salvaged from this station while establishing protocols for shared access moving forward," Craxel suggested cautiously. Lila exchanged glances with Tarek and Arlen before nodding in agreement. It was a step in the right direction. "Let's do it," she said firmly. As they began discussing terms further amidst uncertainty looming overhead, a fragile alliance began forming between former adversaries united by necessity against common threats ahead.